Kirk just got shot. Maybe there are good guys with guns out there.
Update, Charlie Kirk is officially looking up at us, and I'm about to head to the grocery store because I'm making ribs tonight. Oh, but he was a man with a wife and kids. Yeah, and now they're safe from him.
I swear I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about this news. I'm not happy about this news. It's so unfortunate.
You want to know why I was so stoked? Go ahead and Google Charlie Kirk. Go ahead, read the latest headlines, and you'll see why I'm so.
Never believed in demons? Well, maybe now you do. I'll stop there, not because the material dries up, but because we don't have the 3 hours to catalogue the gleeful wickedness of progressives pretending to be human while celebrating the murder of a husband, a father, and worst of all, in their eyes, an effective conservative. Charlie Kirk was a Christian, a conservative, and a very good debater. In fact, he was too good.
I was born as a man, and now I'm a woman.
Okay, no, but you don't become a woman just because you dress like a woman. So let me ask you a question. If I wear a disguise or a costume, do I become that thing? For example, if I dress with a sombrero and start talking with a Mexican accent, do I then become that culture?
No, because that's different race.
Okay,
That's
but then
very
why,
different.
how is it different? Because you're saying that if you dress a certain way and you present a certain way, you can be as you think you are. Why can't I also just choose what culture I am?
Because you're born within a culture, you're born with.
But you were born as a man.
That was typical Charlie Kirk. All he ever did was have conversations with people. He didn't insult anyone, he made arguments. Well, his opponents couldn't beat him in an argument, and today he paid for that with his life. The day began innocently enough. A crowd of 3,000 students gathered to ask Charlie Kirk questions about everything from faith to gender politics. Here he was giving out MAGA hats at the event as it was about to start, little realising these would be his final moments on Earth. Just minutes after those scenes, while answering a question about transgendered shooters, he himself was shot dead by what authorities believe was a sniper positioned on a rooftop about 180 metres away. And I need to warn you, this is distressing footage.
Counting or not counting gay violence?
Oh my God. Go, run, run. Whoa.
Fox News broke into their normal programming to announce the 31-year-old conservative had been killed.
Charlie Kirk, according to the President of the United States, is dead. I don't really know where you go from here. I don't know where we go from here in a news program, and I don't know where we go from here in America. I don't know what's left for us as a country to discuss when even a discussion and a debate over the issues results in violence that leads to the death of a good man in this country.
Charlie Kirk, who founded the Turning Point USA organisation, was hugely influential among young people and was personally responsible for so many young adults getting behind the MAGA movement. For them, this will be their JFK moment.
It was just a lot of love and joy and kindness, you know? And then the next person came up and it almost felt like a cue to me because they talked about transgender gun violence, and then as the guy said shooting or shooters or something like that, you just hear the gunshot and I'm sorry. You just see his neck just like open up and there's just like so much blood that just came out. It was horrible, and all I felt was like everybody bringing me down to the ground, and I was sorry. All I hear is screaming, and I see people running, and I'm like, it's not safe to run, it's not safe to get up, it's not. And all I'm saying is, please God, please God, please God, because I don't want to die, I don't want anybody else to die, and I think I just saw a guy die, you know?
Meanwhile, the left were busy cackling like hyenas.
I'm not saying she deserved it, but I'm saying God's timing is always right. And goodness knows the wicked's lives are lonely.
The great Catholic preacher Fulton Sheen warned that when truth is denied, hatred grows. And when hatred grows, reason fails. And when reason fails, violence follows. That's as accurate a summary as I can find as to where we find ourselves in Western culture right now. Charlie Kirk was shot dead because he dared to speak truths that our culture now deems unacceptable. Life is sacred, even in the womb. Gender is not something you make up, it's a fixed biological reality. There's a God in heaven to whom we must all give account. All of these propositions, taught by Charlie Kirk, imply objective truth. In other words, there is a God, and if God is God, then we're not. Charlie Kirk wasn't hated for his politics. He was hated for reminding people that they are not the centre of their own universe. The West doesn't have a gun problem. The West has a spiritual problem. And if you think that sounds extreme, consider the reactions to Charlie Kirk's murder. Let me show you one more. And the reason I want you to see these reactions, horrible as they are, is because I think it's important to highlight that something quite evil has infected Western culture. These reactions are not rational, that's for sure, but worryingly, they are so numerous that they can't be dismissed as just a few idiots. They represent nothing less than a growing complicity with darkness. People who so despise the idea of truth that they actually celebrate the murder of anyone who dares to speak it.
We can all celebrate because something really awful happened to a really, really awful guy. And again, if you're one of those people that are like, no matter what happens, you should never wish death on some... I'm going to cheer and dance and sing. Thank you very much.
A culture that denies objective truth is doomed to become a culture of increasing frustration because the lie that replaces truth, by definition, can never satisfy no matter what it is. And people who cling to falsehoods are forced to rage against anyone who reminds them of what they've rejected. As hatred grows, reason fails. A mind twisted by resentment doesn't want to understand, it only wants to justify. So arguments cease to be about finding the truth and become about crushing all opposition. In that climate, well, debate becomes impossible. And once people lose the capacity to reason together, the only way left to resolve conflict is through force. That is the predictable end of denying truth. Hatred replaces love, emotion replaces thought, and violence replaces dialogue. Every culture that abandons truth eventually reaps this bitter harvest. Here's MSNBC political analyst Matthew Dowd, all but suggesting Charlie Kirk had it coming.
He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
These people have no shame. They stir up crazies to kill conservatives and then blame it on the conservatives. Here in Australia, the Chaser website went with this: Are You OK Day not going well at Turning Point. Unbelievable. The US House of Representatives held a moment's silence in memory of Charlie Kirk, but when someone suggested that a prayer should be said aloud, well, all hell broke loose.
The House will be in order. We will join prayer right after this, okay? The chair lays before the House a communication. The House will be in order.
Like I said, there are a lot of problems in the Western world, but at the root of them all, well, it's spiritual. US Democrats will fight for the rights of men identifying as women to read stories to children, but they'll bark like dogs at the suggestion that perhaps it might be time to reach out to God. I'll give the final word to Charlie Kirk.
The spiritual battle is coming to the West. And the enemies are wokeism or Marxism combining with Islamism to go after what we call the American way of life. And the American way of life is very simple. I want to be able to get married, buy a home, have kids, allow them to ride their bike till the sun goes down, send them to a good school, have a low-crime neighborhood, not to have my kid be taught the lesbian, gay, transgender garbage in their school, while also not having them have to hear the Muslim call to prayer 5 times a day. That's important. We want the American way of life, which is, by the way, Christendom. Christians, our sacrifice, our toil, our vision, the outgrowth of the scriptures gave us Western civilization. And this is where I think is a great rallying cry. Doesn't matter if you're Hispanic, doesn't matter if you're Asian, doesn't matter if you're black or white. Everybody, if you are Christian and Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, these two threats are combining forces to come after us. And it's time that the church stands and rises up against it.
Actually, she released this statement today, quoting from Jewish King David in Psalm 46, verse 1. She wrote, "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." You know, even if you're not a believer, you should want that to be true. God knows the West needs him.